dare you disrespect me like this in my own house? You are a complete disgrace.
Please, Landry, I beg you, have mercy.
I felt the champagne glass shatter on the marble floor as my husband's foot collided with my ribs. You revolting person. Chitty's angry shout disrupted the merrymaking. A woman with no issue. You have slain my... I crumpled to the floor, my golden wrapping a flailing behind my legs. 50 people, aunties, uncles, friends, are frozen in terror. My mother screams. My father charges to the rescue. But Chitty isn't finished yet. 3 years of nothing. He towered above me, judicial in his condemnation. An empty womb. You're not really a woman. Through tears, I saw his mother smiling from the doorway. This was her expertly planned public execution of me, right at my parents' anniversary party. My phone beeped beside me. Dr. Adeli calling. Again. The secret I'd been hiding for 3 months burned in my throat. The manila envelope that was locked in my bedroom drawer. The medical records that proved everything.
Chitty did not know that yet.
But he was soon to learn just who the Barren spouse in our relationship truly was. Hello guys, welcome to my African tales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share it with your friends, and most important thing, turn your notification bell so you can get informed when I dropped another amazing story. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments. What would you do if your spouse tried to kill you and you survive? Will you take a revenge or disappear forever? 8 hours earlier, I nudged the final fold of my mother's gully, and sunlight poured in through the windows of my parents' house in Ikoyi. The coral head wrap fit her head, which matched the beads on her aso-ebi. You look beautiful, Mama, I said when I stepped back to assess my work. She seized my hands, searching my face. Amara, are you all right? You've been so distant lately. Even your father noticed. I forced a smile. I'm fine, Mama. Too tired from all the prep. 30 years of marriage are a huge milestone. It was a lie. I was not okay for 3 months. Not since Dr. Adeli had me come into his office and handed me the test results that made a complete mess of my life. I had results hiding in a sealed envelope. Too scared to know what they said. Where is Chitty? My mother said, running her hands down. Hashtag. My mother cut in, smoothing out her wrapper. He ought to be here, helping you get set up. He's coming with his mother? I said, the presence of Mama Chitty making my stomach flip. They had something with a family member to do this morning. My mother pursed her lips into a single white line. She'd never quite said it straight up, but I knew she did not trust my mother-in-law. None of my family did. My phone buzzed. A text from my BFF, Zainab. Babe, you need to let Chitty know what's what today. This has gone on long enough. Those test results. I closed the message halfway done. The house hummed with activity. Caterers set out trays of jollof rice, peppered goat meat, and wamwa on tables draped with gold tablecloths. The DJ checked his sound system in the corner. My father's friends showed up in their expensive agbatas, laughing and hugging him as men do when they have accumulated wealth together. It wasn't long until, by lunchtime, the party was in full force. Around 50 guests crowded into the living room and spilled onto the balcony overlooking Victoria Island. There was the smell of perfume, incense, and heavy food in the air. High-life music pulsed through speakers. In my gold Ahsoka wrapper and matching blouse, I weaved through the crowd, being the dutiful daughter, the perfect wife. Inside, I felt I was drowning. Amara. My Uncle Tund hugged me kindly. When are you going to give us some good news, then, eh? Tia, your parents need grandchildren to spoil. I'd heard this question 100 times over 3 years of marriage. My typical routine was to sidestep with a joke. Today it was a knife being twisted in my chest. Soon, Uncle, I whispered. Very soon. If he only knew how complicated soon had gotten. Chitty showed up at 2, his mother hanging off his arm like a queen. He was dressed in the royal blue agbada I designed and made, laboring over the delicate embroidery for weeks. He looked handsome, tall, dark-skinned, commanding. Once, that had been enough. Once, I had loved him more than breathing. Amara. He barely even looked at me, his jaw clenched. We need to talk. Later. Mama Chitty walked past me without a greeting, her eyes frosty. She was in red, the color of war in Igbo tradition. Should I have noticed? Should I have known? The afternoon blurred. Speeches were made. My father thanked God for 30 years with his wife. My mother cried happy tears. Guests danced. Laughing so hard that my face hurt, I sat watching Chitty and his mother whisper in a corner. At 5 p.m., Dad made a toast. Everyone gathered, champagne glasses raised. To love, someone shouted. To family, another voice rang out. To children and legacy. But Mama Chitty's voice pierced through the revelry like a knife. The room shifted. People glanced at me. At Chitty. Left unspoken, the question hung in the air. Why hasn't Amara given us a grandchild yet? Chitty sipped his champagne and set the glass off to one side. Then another. His eyes traded glasses and grew ever darker. I had watched him drink, but never like this. Never with such thinly veiled rage. Chitty, back up, I whispered and touched his arm. He jerked away. Don't touch me. My mother noticed. She started toward us, concerned. That's when everything exploded. Chitty snatched another flute of champagne, guzzled it, and then flung it to the ground. The crystal broke, the music silenced, and all laughter was void. Do you even know what shame is? He let his voice echo through the chamber. Do any of you understand what it is like to have a wife who can't even do the simplest thing that's expected? Chitty, stop. I want to strike him once more. His hand shot out. Not to take mine. To push me. I nearly fell backward, my wrap getting stuck beneath my feet. The world tilted. And then I was falling, until the marble came up to meet me. The jolt knocked the breath out of me. Before I could even react, before I figured out what was happening, Chitty's boot landed on my side. Pain exploded through my ribs. You disgust me, he screamed, standing over me. 3 years, Samara. 3 years of pretending, lying to everyone that you're a woman. My mother shrieked. My father roared. Guests gasped and shouted. But all I could see was Chitty's face, distorted by hatred like I'd never seen before. A barren woman, he spat. You have killed my lineage. You have made me a laughingstock to my own family. I pressed my hand to the side of me, tasting blood, braids falling out in loops to either side of my face. This couldn't be real. This wasn't, I thought, my parents' anniversary, not in front of all the people we knew. My father elbowed his way through the onlookers. You will leave my house.
Now.
But Chitty whipped out his phone, thrust it at the guests. 3 years. The doctors confirmed it. She's never going to make me a child. Never. An empty womb. It was then I caught sight of her, Mama Chitty by the door, that dainty, satisfied smile on her lips. My phone buzzed in my clutch on the ground.
Dr. Adelik.
The third call today. The envelope. The test results. The truth I had been too afraid to say. The truth that would wreck Chitty the way he was wrecking me at the moment. 3 months earlier, Dr. Adelik's office was air-conditioned, too cold for my skin. I took my seat in the leather chair and wrung my hands nervously, watching as he read over test reports that were splayed across his mahogany desk. Mrs. Namdi, he said, his voice soft but professional. I want you to know what these results are. I'd sneak down to him and not let Chitty know. 2 years of trying, and Mama Chitty's unrelenting accusations and trips to traditional healers, and the shame that had become my constant companion. I needed closure. The good news, Dr. Adelik went on, adjusting his glasses along the bridge of his nose, is that you are perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with your reproductive system. There's nothing the matter with you, I tell him. The relief lasted 3 seconds flat. But he paused. The semen sample we tested from the one you brought, your husband's, reveals severe oligospermia. He has a severe load of low sperm, and its motility is below expectations. Mrs. Namdi, your infertility is not the problem. It's your husband's. The room spun. I held on to the arms of a chair. That's impossible, I whispered. Chitty is so sure. His mum keeps saying it's me. 3 different herbalists they've taken me to. They made me drink bitter compound. They prayed over my womb. They were wrong. Dr. Adelik's voice was firm. And there's something else I need to tell you, and it confuses the situation. He extracted an ultrasound. My heart stopped. You're pregnant, Mrs. Namdi. 8 weeks along. The world tilted. You can't have just said Chitty can't. I told him that his sperm count was critically low and that he had lazy little swimmers. Not impossible, but extremely difficult. This is the kind of pregnancy I refer to as a miracle. It's possible, but uncommon. Maybe 1 in 1,000 times with those numbers. He leaned forward. But there's a complication. The pregnancy is high risk due to poor quality sperm. Life should be carefully monitored, and stress you must absolutely minimize. I walked out of that office with 2 sealed envelopes. One with Chitty's test results, one with confirmation of my pregnancy, and a decision that felt unimaginably difficult. Tell him he's the problem? Erase his pride, his manhood, everything that woman had made him believe about himself? Watch his world crumble? Or say nothing and let them continue to blame me? Now, after the humiliation, I was sitting in the bedroom of my childhood, that same room I'd woken up in all those years dreaming about my wedding day and had later become the refuge I so desperately needed it to be. My mother had stripped me out of my torn asoke wrapper and into a plain nightgown. The bruise on my ribs was purple. Amara, my daughter. My mother sat on my bed next to me, stroking my hair the way she had when I was little.
Tell me what's happening. Please.
There's something you're not saying. My father's voice was tight with controlled anger on the phone, audible through the door. Yes, I'm pressing charges for assault. I don't care who his family is. He kicked my daughter. My phone wouldn't stop ringing.
Dr. Adelik. Zainab.
Even some of the guests calling to see how I was doing or, worse, to gossip. I finally answered Zainab's call. I'm coming over, she said right away. Don't argue. 30 minutes later, she barged into my room with her hijab all a-tangle from the dash. She looked at me once and started to cry. That bastard, she hissed. Amara, you need to tell them. You have to show them those tests. I can't. Why not? He humiliated you. He kicked you with everyone in your family watching. He called you Barren, and he's the one. Because I'm pregnant. Loud. The words shot out of me louder than I meant.
My mother gasped.
Zainab froze. You're what? My mother clapped her hand to her mouth. I retrieved the envelope from my nightstand, and with trembling fingers, the one labeled confidential medical records that I had been concealing for 3 months. I handed it to my mother. She read in silence, her gaze zipping more and more quickly over the pages. When she looked up, her face had shifted from bewilderment to anger. He's the one, she whispered. Chitty is the only one who can't, and you're pregnant? How long have you known? 3 months. I learned the same day. I finally received his test results. It's a miracle pregnancy, said Dr. Adelik. Rare but possible with his condition. It is, however, high risk and I need to steer clear of stress. I laughed bitterly. So much for that. Zainab sat on my other side. Why didn't you tell him? Why did you let them keep making it your fault? Because I was afraid. Tears streamed down my face.
You don't understand, Zainab.
His mother, what she said to me. The way she's been eyeing me like I'm under a curse. And Chitty, he believed it was me. His ego, his pride, his whole being is tied to the idea that he's the son who will carry on the Namdi line. My mother got up and began to pace. That woman, Mama Chitty, she knew. She must have suspected. That's why she leaned into today's shame. She wished to ruin you before truth should be known. What truth? My father spoke up from the door. There he was, pale-faced and clutching his phone. What are those files with all the numbers that your mother is leafing through? It was my mother who gave the envelope to him. I saw my father's face shift as he read, from mystification to comprehension to cold and deliberate fury. This boy, he said in a soft, venomous whisper, kicked my daughter and called her Barren though he cannot get children himself?
He looked at me.
And you're pregnant? With his child. I nodded, my hand going to my stomach that, as yet, was still unaltered. You've been bearing this on your own for 3 months? His voice cracked. Amara, why? Because I loved him, Papa. I thought. I thought that if I told him in a soft way at the right time that we could attack it as a team, I would have assumed he'd be excited about the baby, that it no longer mattered whose fault it had been. I wiped my tears. I was wrong. My father sat down heavily on the side of the bed. What do you want to do? So that was the question I'd been pondering for 3 months. What did I want? I want a divorce, I said, shocked at the calm in my voice. I want him to hear the truth. I hope this garners wide readership so that all of those who stood by and witnessed me being publicly humiliated will know who the real failure in this relationship is. And I do want to keep my baby, raise it without him. He's going to fight you for the child, Zainab cautioned. Once he knows you're pregnant. He won't think it's his, I interrupted. Not with those test results. He'll accuse me of infidelity. His mother will badmouth me around town, say that I've been unfaithful. I mean, they're going to come after me even more. My mother's determination said in her eyes. Then we fight smart. We document everything. We get lawyers. We strategically reveal the truth, not our emotions.
My phone buzzed again.
This time, it was not Dr. Adelik. The message came from an unfamiliar number. Mrs. Namdi, this is Ngozi Okonkwo. I know we've never met, but I have to talk to you about Chidi. I'm his ex-girlfriend. What happened to you today also happened to me. And I've got a take an LA no you want. Please call me. I looked at the message, and my heart raced. What is it? Zainab asked. I showed her the screen. Her eyes widened. Call her, my father said, right away. If Chidi has done this before, if this is a pattern, it's a game changer, my mother concluded. With shaking fingers, I dialed the number. A woman picked up on the first ring. Thank you for calling, Ngozi said in a voice thick with emotion. I saw the video. Someone posted it online. What Chidi did to you. I couldn't keep my mouth shut. Video. My stomach dropped. What video? One of the guests took a video. The whole thing. And it's getting around on WhatsApp and Instagram. I'm so sorry. My humiliation, viral. For everyone to see. Forever. But Ngozi wasn't finished. Mrs. Namdi, Amara, Chidi got me 4 years ago. He used to accuse me when I wasn't able to conceive. He became violent. It just didn't make sense. And then I heard the truth from a doctor friend of mine who had seen his medical records. She paused. Chidi has known he had fertility problems for 5 years. He's known the whole time and he married you. He let you take the hit for something he knew was his fault. The room fell silent, except for my ragged breath. He knew. And Chidi knew all along that the problem was him. And he married me anyway. Let his mother torture me. Let me believe I was broken. Kicked me down and told me I was barren. All while knowing the truth. I'm arriving in Lagos tomorrow, Ngozi said. I have copies of everything, his medical records, text messages, photos from when he beat me. And we're going to make sure he never does this to another woman again. I hung up and gazed around at my family, Zainab, those who really loved me. It's time to fight back, I told them. 2 days later. Adenuga and associates were on the 15th floor of a glass tower in Victoria Island. My father had juggled favors to secure me a meeting with barrister Adenuga himself, the lawyer who'd never lost a divorce case involving high-profile Nigerian families. Mrs. Namdi, Barrister Adenuga adjusted his glasses as he picked up my file. This is one of the most blatant cases of emotional abuse and defamation I've come across. The video itself is damning evidence. I squirmed in my seat, feeling the ache in my ribs. My father sat beside me like a statue, his jaw tight. On my other side, Zainab held my hand. But the lawyer continued, we have to be strategic. The Namdi family has resources, connections. They'll fight dirty. They're already starting. He turned his laptop toward us. As I watched headlines spreading on blogs and social media, my stomach twisted. Gold digger wife exposed. Chidi Namdi's wife can't give him an heir. Desperate woman lies and ruins family anniversary. Sources say Amara Okafor Namdi has been cheating. They're setting the narrative, Barrister Adenuga said. Mama Chidi has hired a PR firm. They're painting you as the villain before you've even had a chance to tell your side. Then we tell it now. My father growled. We release the medical records. We expose him. Not yet, Chief. The lawyer raised a hand. If we release everything now, they'll claim the records are fake and say you're trying to emasculate their son out of spite. We need witnesses. We need a pattern of behavior. A knock at the door interrupted us. The secretary peeked in. Sir, the lady you were expecting is here. Ngozi Okonkwo stepped in, and I felt my past and future collide. She was tall, dark-skinned, her natural hair styled in a neat afro. But her eyes carried the same haunted look I'd seen in my mirror for years. Amara. She walked straight to me and hugged me like we were old friends. I'm so sorry we're meeting like this. We sat together as she laid out her evidence. Photos of bruises on her arms and back, screenshots of messages from Chidi alternating between sweet promises and cruel insults, and a medical report from 4 years ago. I found this in his apartment, Ngozi said. He hid it in a box under his bed. It's from a fertility specialist in Abuja. The doctor diagnosed him with oligospermia and recommended treatment. She looked at the lawyer. The date on this report is 6 months before he proposed to Amara. My father shot to his feet, his chair scraping across the floor. He knew. He married my daughter knowing he was the problem. It gets worse, Ngozi said softly. After we broke up, he dated 2 other women. Both relationships ended the same way. He blamed them for not getting pregnant, became controlling, then violent. I tracked them down. They're willing to testify. Barrister Adenuga leaned back, a small smile on his lips. Now we have a case. Now we have a pattern. Mrs. Namdi, if you agree, I suggest a family meeting. Both families present. We lay everything out before court. Why give them a chance to respond? Zainab asked. Why not destroy them publicly? Because, the lawyer said, Chief Namdi, Chidi's father, is reasonable. He's old school but values honor above all else. If he sees what his son has done, he might insist on a quiet divorce and fair settlement. It'll save you a public battle. I thought about the baby growing inside me, about the stress Dr. Adelik warned could harm my pregnancy. A legal war could be dangerous.
Set up the meeting, I said.
3 days later, the Namdi mansion in Lekki Phase 1 looked even grander than I remembered. I'd been here many times as Chidi's wife, but never as his enemy. My parents and I arrived with Barrister Adenuga and his assistant. Ngozi had wanted to come, but the lawyer said it was too risky. Chief Namdi met us at the door. Distinguished in his 70s, gray-haired and sharp-eyed, he was the only one in that family who had always treated me with respect. Chief Okafor. Mrs. Okafor, he said, shaking my father's hand.
Amara.
Please come in. The living room was full. Chidi sat with his mother at his side, his brothers and their wives nearby. Hostility filled the air, except for Chief Namdi's neutral gaze. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Barrister Adenuga began, setting his briefcase down. We're here to discuss the dissolution of marriage between Chidi and Amara Namdi and to address certain allegations. Allegations? Mama Chidi snapped. This girl has destroyed my son's name. That video is everywhere. People call him violent, abusive. Because he is, my mother cut in coldly. He kicked my daughter like a dog in front of 50 people. Your daughter provoked him. Mama Chidi shot back. 3 years of marriage and no child. What man wouldn't be frustrated? A man who knows the problem is his own, my father said quietly. Silence fell. Chief Namdi leaned forward. What do you mean? Barrister Adenuga opened his briefcase and spread out the reports. Dr. Adelik's diagnosis of Chidi's severe oligospermia, the specialist's report from 4 years ago, and my own clean results. Chidi's face drained of color. Where did you get those? Those are private. You knew, Chief Namdi said, his voice heavy. You knew before you married her. Papa, I can explain. Explain, the old man shouted, rising. Explain how you let us blame this girl? How your mother tormented her with prayers and herbalists while you knew the truth. Mama Chidi snatched the papers, eyes scanning wildly. These are fake. They forged them to ruin my son. There's more, Barrister Adenuga said. He pulled out photos of Ngozi's bruises, messages, and testimonies from other exes. Your son has a pattern, blaming women and turning violent when faced with his own failings. Chitty jumped up. This is a setup. Ngozi is bitter I left her. The others are lying. Then explain this, I said, my voice steady. I reached into my purse and placed an ultrasound photo on the table. I'm pregnant. 12 weeks. The room erupted. Pregnant. Mama Chitty screamed. With whose child? Not my son's. She's been cheating. This proves it. But Chief Namdi examined the ultrasound, then the records, then the note from Dr. Adelik explaining rare but possible pregnancies with low sperm count. It's possible, he said softly. Difficult, but possible. He looked at his son. Is it yours? Chitty opened and closed his mouth but said nothing. It doesn't matter, Barrister Adenuga said. Mrs. Namdi wants a divorce. With the assault, humiliation, and deceit, she's entitled to a fair settlement. Settlement. Mama Chitty shrieked. She should pay us for wasting our time. Enough. Chief Namdi's voice thundered. He faced his son. You knew you were infertile before the marriage. You let your mother shame this woman. You abused her. You humiliated us all. He turned to his wife. And you orchestrated that public humiliation. You've disgraced this family. I was protecting our lineage. By lying? By cruelty? His voice broke. This is not the family I built. Not the honor I taught. He turned to me, tears in his eyes. Amara, I failed you. I should have protected you. I'm sorry. The apology shattered me. Tears streamed down my face. The divorce will be granted, he said. Chitty will not contest it. Amara will have the Banana Island house, alimony, and if that child is his, full support, no custody disputes. Papa, you can't, Chitty began. I can. I will. You're my son, but also a liar and an abuser. Until you face your actions, you are not welcome in this house. Mama Chitty gasped. You're choosing her over your son? I'm choosing honor over shame, he said. Something you both forgot. We left the mansion an hour later with the signed agreement. Chitty barely looked at me as he signed, his mother sobbing beside him. In the car, my mother held me as I finally cried, not from pain, but relief. It's over, she whispered. It's finally over. But I knew it wasn't. Not completely. The real challenge would be rebuilding my life, raising my child, and learning to trust again. The hard part was just beginning. 6 weeks later, the divorce papers came on a Tuesday morning. I signed them at my parents' dining table, my hand steady, my heart unexpectedly light. 3 years of marriage ended with a single signature. How do you feel? Zainab asked from across the table, her laptop open. She'd been helping me rebuild my fashion business, reconnecting with clients who had drifted away during my marriage. Free, I said simply. But freedom had its own complications. The video of my humiliation had gone viral. Millions of views on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Hashtag Justice for Amara trended for days. Everyone had an opinion about my marriage, my pregnancy, my worth. Some stood with me. Many didn't. She probably cheated. Why else would she hide the pregnancy? Gold digger trying to trap a rich man with a baby that's not even his. Both of them are toxic. She should have left sooner. I stopped reading comments after the first week. My therapist, Dr. Folake, recommended by Dr. Adelik, warned me that social media could become addictive when recovering from trauma. Your worth isn't up for debate, she told me during our last session. Focus on healing. Focus on your baby. The truth is already out there. Let it do the talking. Easier said than done. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Amara, this is Chief Namdi. May I visit you today? There's something I need to give you. I showed Zainab. She frowned. Do you trust him? More than his wife and son, I replied. He's the only one who seemed genuinely remorseful. Chief Namdi arrived that afternoon. He looked older, smaller somehow, weighed down by guilt. My father greeted him formally, but coldly. The betrayal between their families still raw. Chief Okafor, he said to my father, I know I don't deserve your hospitality, but I came for Amara. We sat in the living room. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. After our meeting, I did some digging, he began. I wanted to understand how my son became this man and how my wife allowed it. He handed me the envelope. These are bank statements. For 3 years, my wife siphoned money from our accounts, nearly 20 million naira, to pay herbalists, spiritualists, even a woman who claimed she could curse your womb. My mother gasped. My father's expression hardened. She was obsessed, Chief Namdi said quietly. When Chitty's medical report came back, she refused to accept it. She convinced herself and him that it was spiritual, that if he married the right woman, everything would fix itself. So, she chose me to carry the blame, I said.
Yes.
And I was blind, too busy, too trusting. His voice broke slightly. Amara, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to make things right. That house in Banana Island, it's now fully in your name. No strings attached. I've also set up a trust fund for the baby. Whether Chitty acknowledges the child or not, that baby is my grandchild. Chief Namdi, I started, but he raised a hand.
Please.
Let me finish. He took out another document. I've filed for separation from my wife. She's back in Enugu now with Chitty. I thought I knew her after 50 years. I was wrong. My father leaned forward. And your son? Will he get help? I've made it a condition of his inheritance, Chief Namdi said. Therapy and anger management or nothing. I won't let him destroy another woman. After he left, I sat on the balcony, watching the Lagos sunset stain the sky gold and purple. My hand rested on my belly, now rounded at 16 weeks. Your grandfather is trying to do right by us, I whispered. Even if your father won't.
My phone rang. It was Dr. Adelik.
Amara. Wonderful news, the amniocentesis results are back. The baby's perfectly healthy. And he paused dramatically. It's a girl. A girl. I cried, not from pain, but from hope. My daughter would grow up knowing her worth, never questioning her value, her beauty, or her right to be respected. 3 weeks later, my fashion studio in Lekki had been closed for 2 months. Today, I opened the doors again. The space looked new, painted in soft cream tones, filled with plants and sunlight. Blessing and Chioma, my loyal seamstresses, had waited for me through it all. Madam Amara, Blessing cried, hugging me gently. We missed you so much. I missed you too. I looked around at the bolts of Ankara fabric, half-finished designs, and sewing machines waiting to hum again. Are we ready? More than ready, Chioma said, grinning. You won't believe how many new orders came after everything. People want to support you. She showed me emails, dozens of them from women who'd seen the video who understood. I want a dress that makes me feel powerful after my divorce. Design something for a woman starting over at 40. Can you create a collection about resilience? An idea sparked. A collection, not just fashion but rebirth. Clothes that told stories of strength and survival. Let's do it, I said. Let's turn pain into beauty. That night, I sketched until my hand cramped. Bold colors, flowing lines, fierce silhouettes. Each piece whispered transformation. I was so deep in work that I didn't hear the knock at first. Amara? A man's voice, calm, unfamiliar. I looked up. A tall man stood at the door, early 40s, warm brown skin, wire-rimmed glasses, kind eyes. He wore a navy shirt and khaki pants, neat but relaxed. Sorry to interrupt, he said. I'm Dr. Emeka Akoli, a friend of Dr. Adelik's. He mentioned you might need a prenatal specialist, so I came to introduce myself.
Oh.
I stood, self-conscious in my paint-splattered maternity dress. That's thoughtful, but I already have Dr. Adelik. I know, he said with a small smile. I'm not replacing him. I handle high-risk pregnancies. Given the stress and everything you've been through, he thought a consultant might help. He handed me a card. No pressure. Just offering support. There was something in his tone, gentle, unassuming, that made me relax. No judgment. No pity. Just kindness. Thank you, Dr. Akoli. I appreciate it. Please call me Emeka. He glanced at my sketches. These are incredible. You're an artist. A fashion designer. I corrected, smiling faintly. Same thing, he said. You tell stories, only with fabric. He pointed to one design, a dress of Ankara melting into white lace. This one feels like rebirth. I smiled. That's exactly what it is. We talked for 20 minutes about art, inspiration, color. He didn't mention Chitty. Didn't bring up the video. Just saw me, Amara, the designer, the woman. As he was leaving, he paused. Amara, I hope this doesn't sound forward, but you're going to be an amazing mother. After he left, I stood surrounded by my sketches and fabrics, my hand on my belly, and felt something new. Hope. Not the desperate kind that begged for a man's change. Not the fragile kind that wished away pain. But real, steady, unshakable hope, the kind that blooms quietly after ruin. My phone buzzed. A message from Chitty. I want to talk about the baby. Can we meet? I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it. Some conversations aren't worth having. Some bridges deserve to stay burned. 6 months later, the lights of Lagos Fashion Week blazed across the runway as I stood backstage, my hands trembling with anticipation. At 28 weeks pregnant, my belly was prominent beneath the flowing emerald kaftan I'd designed for this night. 5 minutes, Amara, the stage manager called. My collection, Phoenix Rising, hung behind me. 20 pieces, each symbolizing transformation, from pain to power. The finale dress, a burst of red and gold Ankara into white lace, represented rebirth. Zainab appeared beside me, adjusting her hijab. You ready for this? I've been ready my whole life, I said, surprising myself with the confidence in my voice. So much had changed in 6 months. My fashion business had exploded beyond my wildest dreams. The scandal that nearly destroyed me had turned me into a symbol of resilience. Women across Nigeria and the world had reached out with stories of betrayal and rebirth. And then there was Emeka, Dr. Emeka, though now just Emeka, my prenatal specialist, my confidant, my friend. A man who proved that kindness wasn't weakness and love wasn't pain. Amara Okafor, the announcer's voice boomed. Presenting Phoenix Rising. The music began, traditional drums laced with modern beats. My models emerged, fierce and graceful, embodying the journey from brokenness to power. Then came the finale. Ngozi, Chitty's ex and now my sister in survival, walked out in the red and gold masterpiece. Behind her came 5 other women, each one a survivor like me. The audience rose to their feet, cheering, crying, clapping. I waddled onto the runway, no graceful way to do it at 7 months pregnant, and the applause swelled. That's Amara Okafor, someone shouted. The Phoenix herself, another cried. I saw my parents in the front row, crying openly. Chief Namdi sat beside them, proud, steadfast. And behind them, Emeka watched with that calm, steady smile that had become my anchor. Backstage, chaos. Buyers, journalists, bloggers, all shouting at once. Vogue Africa wants an interview. CNN wants a segment. You're a sensation, Amara. It was my moment, not despite my pain, but because I had refused to let it define me. Then Blessing rushed up, pale. He's here. Chitty. He says he has rights as the father. My heart stuttered. I found him in a corridor, thinner, older, hollow. Gone was the man who'd humiliated me. Amara, he said softly. Congratulations. The collection, it's brilliant. What do you want, Chitty? To talk.
Please.
Just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I followed him into a small dressing room. He looked at my belly with something like regret. I've been in therapy, he began. 3 times a week. My father insisted, but I needed it. I'm sorry, Amara. For everything. For not trusting you. For that day. His voice cracked. I see it over and over. What kind of man does that? The kind your mother made, and you chose to remain, I said quietly. Therapy doesn't erase it. I know. But I want to be a father. To our child. I've changed. I studied him. The man who'd once owned my heart and nearly destroyed me. A small part of me wanted to believe him. But I'd learned the hard way, wanting something doesn't make it real. You want to be a father? I asked. Then prove it. Not to me, to her. When she's old enough to decide if she wants you in her life, I'll let her choose. Until then, earn it. That could take years. Then spend those years becoming the man you should have been, I said. You took my dignity once. You don't get to take my daughter. This isn't fair. I turned, my voice steel. You kicked me to the ground and called me Barren, knowing the truth. Don't talk to me about fairness. I walked away, lighter with every step. 3 months later. Push, Amara. One more push. Dr. Adelik's voice cut through the haze. Emeka held my hand, my mother on the other side. My father and Chief Namdi paced outside like nervous lions. With one final scream, my daughter came into the world. It's a girl. They placed her on my chest, tiny, perfect, wailing. Hello, my phoenix, I whispered through tears. Hello, my Adana. Adana, father's daughter, mother's pride. Emeka wiped his eyes. She's perfect, Amara. My mother sobbed, taking photos through her tears. Later, as the hospital room grew quiet, Chief Namdi visited. He stared at his granddaughter, wonder softening his face. She looks like my mother, he murmured. Same chin. Then, gently, has Chitty asked to see her? He sent 17 messages today, I said. But I'm not ready. Maybe someday, but not now. He nodded. That's wise. He has far to go. He handed me an envelope. For Adana's education. She'll never want for anything. After he left, Emeka returned with coffee and orchids, my favorite. How did you know? I asked. I pay attention. He hesitated, then said quietly, Amara, I know this might not be the time, but I need to tell you something. My heart skipped. I've fallen in love with you, he said simply. You don't have to say anything. I'll wait. As long as it takes. I looked at this gentle, patient man who had never demanded, never pitted, never judged. Ask me again in 6 months, I whispered. He smiled. I will. 1 year later. Adana's first birthday was small. Family, close friends, laughter. She toddled around in the pink dress I'd sewn, giggling as balloons bobbed above her head. My business had grown. 3 stores in Lagos, an online platform across Africa. Phoenix Rising had become a movement. Ngozi was now my business partner. Blessing and Chioma ran training programs for young seamstresses. Zainab's podcast about women's empowerment had gone viral. And Emeka, true to his word, had waited. Patiently. Lovingly. 3 months ago, I'd said yes to our first date. Then another. Then another. Mama. Adana squealed, running to me. I scooped her up, breathing in her baby scent, feeling the warmth of everything I'd built. Chief Namdi sat in a corner, smiling proudly. Chitty had finished therapy and written asking to meet Adana. I'd agreed to supervised visits, 1 step at a time. Not for him, but for her. Because forgiveness, I'd learned, wasn't weakness. It was freedom. As the sun dipped below the Lagos skyline, painting the world gold, I stood in my parents' garden surrounded by laughter, love, and life. I was whole again. Not because of a man. Not because of success. But because I had found me. The woman Chitty tried to break had risen, stronger, wiser, unbreakable. Make a wish, Adana, I whispered as her grandmother brought the cake. But I didn't need to wish for anything. I already had everything that mattered. And I'd built it all myself. Thanks for watching.